Hello there. We want to welcome you to the Southern Aroostook Agricultural Museum this afternoon, and I will be your guide for the next few minutes while we tour this portion of it, and I'm Thelma Henderson. We want you to notice this particular entrance to the old house, and it is indicative of just the roof, and we want you to take particular notice of the screen door, which was so necessary in those days when it came to all of the insects and the flies and so forth and so on. So we're going in now into the old house. I want you to take particular notice of this hoosier that was donated, and it was in excellent condition, and it was just such a novelty because it was like your cooking corner. And in this, you put your flour in here, in this bin up in here. It flowed down through, and then you just cranked the crank here, and it came out all sifted down as you cooked. And you had everything. You had all your spices and everything that you needed to cook right at your fingertips. And it was like a little center for your cooking, and everything was right here. And about 10 years ago, here in this portion of the museum, we had a boiler, a steam boiler explode. And it was very detrimental to, well, I say detrimental, that's not the right description. It was, but for some reason, this wood or this finish on this hoosier was very, very affected, and it kind of blistered up all over it. So anyway, I hit it with fine sandpaper and sanded it down, and then rubbed it with a stain, and it really came out looking very good. It was very rewarding, very satisfying when we got it all done. But we did want you to make particular notice of that. Chef or chief or whatever they call it, an old stove, and I don't really know where that did come from, but that too is one of the old wood stoves. And then I want you to notice in particular this collection of salt and pepper shakers, which was donated by one of the men who was very fundamental in the organization and planning of this museum, and they belonged to his mother. And there is over 100 sets, and she was so diligent in keeping a record of where every set came from. And some of them were, people would travel abroad in those days and so forth, and they have really quite a history. So that is very, very interesting, and it is fun to just take time to look at the variety of them all. And this is a toaster. We want you to know this is how they toasted the bread on either side. You just put your slice in there and then put it in and toasted it. Yes, we're now in the dining room, and we just want you to take particular notice of this was the set of dishes was in the silverware was donated by a grandmother of Anne Longstaff and her husband Paul Stoddard of Presque Isle, and they were the ones that donated it. And it's just a very, very complete set. And we do occasionally polish our silver, and right now it's in very dire need of a polishing. But it was so, she evidently was a great hostess and a great entertainer because of having this many dishes. She must have made use of them. And it sets up a really, really beautiful table. Little utensil that they used to brush the crumbs off the tablecloth and so forth, and this was how it worked. So that was kind of novel too. We want you to note this dresser that is here, and its claim to fame was the fact that it was in an inn out in the Patten area, and what caused it to be so famous was the fact that Eleanor Roosevelt spent a night out there in that inn, And this is the dresser in the room that she slept in. And we do have a collection of vintage. This is a wedding dress, and of course this is a wedding dress over here. And we have a collection of different gowns. Some were prom gowns, and some were this particular one. We were just commenting on it and how beautiful it is. It was worn by Jerry Dunn in the Grand March at the Elks Club one year, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I never did work one, so I'm not familiar with them. But anyway, you sat here and controlled it and put your folded sheets and so forth and so on, and ran it through this ironer. And these are all the real old. These are really old, as in excuse me, the way that they rinse their clothes, and many times they rinse them twice. And this was your wringer that wrung them out from one to the other. And these are just a variety of washing machines of different styles and different periods of time, I suppose. I want to call your attention to the stove here. This is a very, very unique stove in the fact that it's in such excellent condition. And take notice of this copper. This is where they heated their water. Then it was a coil in these this heater here, and that your water heated in that, and then you just drained it off. Paper towels and so forth and so on. And this is a towel, and then you just wiped, and when it got dirty in one area, why you just rolled it around to where it was a little bit cleaner, so it looked better. I want you to know that this is a bathtub, and if you carried the water for very far, by the time you got it filled, you'd be ready to soak for a little while. But it's all metal, and it's a good size. It takes quite an area in, so it's unique. And this is our milk room, and because of the Holton Farms dairy being in Holton, and we're very familiar with that, why it's kind of taken on the reputation to be in a Holton Farms dairy room. This is a milker, and to many, I'm sure, that are unfamiliar, maybe with even how butter is made or where it comes from. These are what you call terms along here. All they're different styles, but how you make butter is it's made from cream, either sweet cream or sour cream, and then it is the motion that before it turns into butter. And these are all the many different styles of the old terms, and that are interesting. This is a small one where you just run it around, and there was paddles in there that kept the cream moving until it turned into butter. And like I say, when the butter came, that's what they used to call it. When it comes, it came in a lump, which had to be removed, and then the water had to be worked out of it as much as you could. And these were the trays. These butter trays were what they used to work the butter over to get the water out of it as much as possible. This stove came in, and it had been in storage, of course, for many years, and it was kind of a sad case actually when it came in. It was rusted badly, and I suppose in its origination it was totally a wood stove. However, they converted it into oil, and in later years. But all I could think of is, while I was working on it, was the fact that, can you think how excited the lady of the house must have been when that was delivered to her home? Because it was just really such a unique utensil or item or whatever. And when in the process, we also found a mice nest here under one of these covers. We had to vacuum it out. These are the most interesting. It's called Maine Automobile Road Book. and it evidently was published in 1917. And it was, of course, before paved roads were in here, but they did have different routes, and it would give you these explanations. Bear left at Fork, across Long Bridge over Merrimack River. This is down in Concord, New Hampshire, and turn sharp right at opposite end and follow along the bank of the river. Keep straight on where tracks turn right. And some of them, that isn't as interesting as some of them were. Some of them were the description that said when you come to, they didn't call it an intersection, but that is basically what evidently they were talking about. And it said, please do not, I don't know whether it said blow your horn or toot your horn or whatever, but because of the horses, it will alarm them. So they're just so fascinating, and I don't know who was donated by, but it's certainly an interesting read to just every once in a while look at one.